And welcome to Seaman Talk Show, everybody. And today we talk to Chris, and such an amazing experience. We had a chat with Chris before we start this talk show, and it's amazing how Chris is actually been supporting and helping the Cambodian community in sharing his amazing journey and helping us shine some light on the future and the information about music and other documentary. So welcome, Chris.
Oh, thank you so much. Alkuntran. So sabai, Cameron. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So first of all, where are you at the moment? I know you travel a fair bit.
Yeah, we're I like to say call it a bit of a working holiday. It's the first time we've been back in Southeast Asia. Well, since the pandemic, we were living in Cambodia, finishing principal photography on Elvis of Cambodia when the pandemic hit. And at that time, we decided, our children were 5 and 7 years old at the time, and we decided to head back to the U.S. during the pandemic. So this has been about 3 years since we've been back to Southeast Asia, which is the longest stretch that we would normally go. I mean, we usually are doing some sort of holiday or commercial or documentary work in this region of the world, probably once a year. Rarely does a year go by where we're not connecting back with Southeast Asia. At the moment, we were just the last month we've been in Malaysia, and now we've just entered Thailand as of a couple of days ago. So yeah, kind of a working holiday, as like I said, we like to call it.
That's right. Yeah, these days a lot of people are traveling and working at the same time. I love to be there where you're at the moment. Before we get into the amazing launch of the Elvis of Cambodia, share with our viewers about your background and also your film company, the Barang Film.
Yeah. So thank you, Cameron. I've been working in film and TV for about 20 years at this point. I've worked as initially how I got into it, interestingly enough, was via Cambodia. I had been hired in 2004 to work on a documentary film. At the time, I wasn't working in the industry. Film was just a dream for me, a passion. I was making short films on my own. I'd done a digital feature, but I hadn't found my way into the industry. In fact, I was working in hotel services at the time. And a colleague contacted me and asked me if I wanted to help him do a documentary film, spend 6 months working in the country of Cambodia on a documentary film as his sound engineer. Now, I was not at all really thrilled what I was doing with my life at that moment. And again, I was kind of trying to find a way into film. And it took me about 2 seconds to, of course, answer, yes, please, by all means, take me anywhere. I don't know where Cambodia is, or I barely know where Cambodia is. I know a bit about Vietnam, but so I really had no knowledge of the area, of this part of the world. I hadn't really even traveled much at that point. And I'd never worked in documentary. In fact, my interest was in narrative feature films. And so I end up within, weeks, find myself on a plane in a country that I never thought of and had never really occurred to me. And this was in 2004. And we spent 6 months working throughout all of Cambodia. And then I was hired to edit the film afterwards. And I have to tell you, Cameron, 2 things happened to me during that time. One, I fell in love with documentary filmmaking. That's when documentary filmmaking became a thing for me. And then 2, I absolutely connected with this part of the world, in particular Cambodia. I fell in love with Cambodia's people. I fell in love with their food, their music, their culture. The country itself, it completely transformed me, really in many ways, obviously the journey that I would go on for the next, now 20 years. And so, that's kind of how we ended up here. And that's how I initially discovered doc filmmaking and that part of the world. And now I've been working in commercial and documentary film ever since. So I've worked in everything from, TV broadcasts, TV national, international spots. I've worked in corporate video. I've worked in documentary film. You name it, I've probably worked in it, and I've worked as a camera person, as an editor. I came up initially as an editor, and now I'm shooting and directing both commercial and documentary work, either as a freelancer or through our company called Barang Films. And I like to, speaking to a Khmer audience, they will appreciate Barang Films. They will get the sort of inside joke. Most other people see the name and they just think, oh, what is Barang Films? What does that mean? You make skateboard videos? Is that what, any sort of image is conjured up, but it's a sort of inside joke for people who know. Barang Films is the name of our company. And that's where the majority of our documentary and some of our commercial work goes through. So there you go. That's in a nutshell. Thank you for asking.
I really like that name, Barang Film. It's really catchy and really caught my eye.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Okay, so let's go on towards the amazing documentary that we're actually talking about today.
Yeah.
The Elvis of Cambodia. So how did you come? You come with the name. Did you come with the name? What was the idea about starting the amazing documentary?
Yeah, I can tell you a couple of things. A lot of people ask about the name, not surprisingly. And secondly, people will ask, well, why this story? How did you come up with this idea? And the long and short of it is, again, I'd been kind of returning back and forth to Cambodia over the years, and I was set to do another trip. And on this one, I was going with another friend of mine, Jack, who I had hired in the past to work with me on some commercial work in Cambodia. And so Jack had gotten a taste of that part of the world, and he was really he had enjoyed his time over there. And so we just thought of, let's go over there and make a short film. I'll work 2 weeks for you, Jack. You work on your short film concept, and then he'll work for me on a short film concept. The problem was we got fairly close to getting ready to go to Cambodia. We'd had all our trip ready. We got our gear ready. And he knew what his concept was, but I didn't. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I ended up in a restaurant / bar I was in Portland, Oregon in the US at the time, with a good friend of mine, Saran Kut, who probably a number of your audiences, I know that you do, but a number of the people listening to this may know who he is, maybe through social media. Saran is a Cambodian American who owns a restaurant called the Mekong Bistro. It is also an event space. And I think I was having a beer with him, and we were talking about Cambodia and my idea that I was going over, but I wasn't sure of a short film idea. But I knew that I thought, man, if I was ever going to tell any sort of story, even if it's a short film, wouldn't it be interesting to somehow incorporate, because I'm a big music person as well, and there is no bigger name in Cambodian music than the one and only Golden Voice himself, right? Sinn Sisamouth. So we were and of course, Saran is a massive Sinn Sisamouth fan, and so we're having a conversation about this, and I just thought, without very, very naively, I will admit, without any sort of plan or idea, I just said, well, we should do a short film on Sinn Sisamouth. And that's really how that sort of idea initially happened. And again, having no idea what this film might be about, who I would talk to, none of this. I just naively said, yeah, okay, I'm going to do a short film on Sinn Sisamouth. And so at that point, I had our idea for a short film, and we would go to Cambodia. We spent a couple of weeks filming, and it became very obvious to me very quickly, there is no way possible that anyone, let alone a Barang, could make a short film about this man that a whole country and a refugee population around the world hold in such high regard, revere so much. There's no way you can make a short film. It has to be something bigger. It must be, a feature-length documentary. And so now at this point, this is 10 years ago, and here we are in 2023. And of course, it has become a whole other animal than it initially was set out to be. In terms of the name of the film, Elvis of Cambodia, that came very quickly. Obviously, it's a catchy name. There is, not to make a comparison, but for someone in the Western world, or someone in the US or Canada, North America, or Australia, or someone, a Barang, right? Somebody who's not Khmer, who doesn't know who Sinn Sisamouth is, well, you think, well, who is the most popular that somebody can sort of compare it to? Well, Elvis. So, but that name did not come from me. That came actually from, I was talking to my translator fixer, who is a dear friend of mine, Ponkaisika, who works on all of our films, is always somebody, one of the first people I ever see when I go back to country. And when he was introducing me to Sinn Sisamouth's music, he was somewhat surprised that I didn't know who it was, even though I said, I've heard this everywhere. I go in Cambodia, I hear this voice. It's like this beautiful ghost that's all around the country. Anywhere you go, it's there. It's in the air. You hear his voice. Who is this man? Oh, Sinn Sisamouth. And then he kind of paused for a moment. He said, he's our Elvis. He's the Elvis of Cambodia.
Yeah.
And so that always kind of stayed with me, right? And so I just thought, that's an easy name. It's right there. It sells itself. I'm like Elvis of Cambodia. Perfect. And there was nothing more deeper than that. It was just and then the more people we would talk to, that often came up in Cambodia. People would think, oh, who is this Barang going to compare him to? Oh, he's Elvis. He's like Elvis. So it's like, great, Elvis of Cambodia. So it's as simple as that.
Because I'm telling you, this film is going to wake up the whole country and also the whole world. Wow. It's going to be amazing.
Wow.
I can't wait to see it. Everyone should go and see the film, Elvis of Cambodia. I'll tell you a story about Elvis, all right? And my mom, she loves watching Elvis.
No way.
She loves it. And she always watch Elvis, and she always said, so it means that she always want to watch him because he's already died, right? He doesn't know his name, but he always loves watching him, right?
Yeah.
And also my dad's a big fan of Sinn Sisamouth.
Yeah.
We'll go to that later, right? But going to Elvis, share with our viewers, for those that don't know who Elvis is, share quickly with our viewers who is Elvis. We know he's the king of rock and so on.
Yeah. Known as the king of rock and roll in the US, right? 50s, 60s, 70s, which of course is a similar time period to Sinn Sisamouth. One of probably the most recognizable name in American rock and roll history. He has sold the most, I think he has still sold the most records of anybody that's come out of the US. So he was in films, an incredibly prolific song career. And he's the most recognizable name in the Western world in terms of music, even still today.
Yep. So Elvis of Cambodia is basically Sinn Sisamouth. He is the most recognized name in Cambodia, and also for me as well as a young generation. But I'll tell you an amazing story with my dad. My dad, when I was young, he always listened to Sinn Sisamouth.
Yeah.
Every day he listened to it, and I came to know Sinn Sisamouth through my dad. And he always listened to Sinn Sisamouth no matter what. So he always listened to Sinn Sisamouth. He goes, he's the only one I listen to. He's like the king of rock in Cambodia. So, and that's what most of the people that appear on your King Elvis of Cambodia documentary, they all say the same thing. So would you like to share with our viewers a bit more about Sinn Sisamouth and the film?
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing I'll say, Cameron, is you've brought up a very good point. And I have to say it's part of what was very attractive to me about doing this film was that more than Elvis of Presley, in a way that's even more so impressive than Elvis Presley, I should say. I have to say, I never met any Cambodian. To this day, I have never met a Cambodian, whether in Cambodia or around the world, regardless of their age, who doesn't know who who Sinn Sisamouth is. Not only that, they have some sort of story, like you just related to us. They have some sort of story or connection to Sinn Sisamouth, whether it's themselves, whether it's through their family. I mean, it's astonishing. We even kind of joked early on, you know, with filming, we would stop people. Right? It didn't matter what their age was, and we would ask them, "Do you know who Sinn Sisamouth is?" Of course, yes. And this would be anywhere in Cambodia. I can give you an example. We did this in near Carlton, near outside of Takayo. And so very rural area. And we stopped this boy who kind of rode by on his bike. And Cameron, he must have been maybe 7, 8 years old tops. And we just stopped him and said, "Do you know who Sinn Sisamouth is?" "Oh, of course, of course." "Oh, can you sing a song?" And he sang a song immediately. And I have to tell you, try stopping a 7 or 8-year-old boy, or even 12, or even maybe a 15-year-old boy or girl in America, and ask them who Elvis Presley is. They probably don't know who he is, let alone be able to sing a song. And so anywhere I've ever gone, I've been working in and out of Cambodia now for 20 years. I've never met anyone, again, regardless of age, who doesn't know who he is. That's how important and connected he is with Khmer culture. And that was a big thing for us, because people around the world, Cambodian refugee populations around the world, when they listen to his music, he is a direct connection to a time when Cambodia was before wartime, right? And it's a direct connection to families and friends and parts all around that country that they hold so dear in their heart. And that's the most impressive part about these stories to me. So when you ask about some of the people in the film, that was often what was our driving force behind this. We want to find the people who are connected to Sinn Sisamouth and his music and his legacy, and let's hear through their voice, not through my voice, not through my wife Stephanie, who's the producer on this film, not through any of our voices. We've been given the opportunity and the tools to be able to put a story together, but it's the Cambodian voices, it's Khmer that creates this film. And so we have a handful of characters in our film who tell us who Sinn Sisamouth is, why he's so important to their lives, and really what their connection is, and maybe how they live their life that's connected to Sinn Sisamouth's legend and his story and his legacy, I should say.
Well, it's going to be an amazing journey to, I can't wait to watch it. And all our viewers should go and see it. And we're going to actually you're going to actually share with our viewers when it's going to be launched in Australia and so on.
Yeah.
But let's go more into details about the story
Sure.
of your, What, just can you give a quick short intro of the movie? And then we'll go into more about how you met Sinn Sisamouth's wife and so on. And how was that? Yeah, there's a few amazing scenes that I think I like them all. It's just very, very touching, very good journey for me to watch.
Appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And that's lovely. I mean, I will say that unlike a number of documentary projects, and I don't think we'll ever do it this way again, because it's a very challenging way to do a documentary film, is we really set out in a very exploratory way, which is to say that we didn't have a real true concept for this film. We didn't know how it was going to begin, how it was going to end. And we hardly even knew, in terms of research, that there's not a lot of material out there, right? There's the legacy of the music, but there's only, in terms of books, there's probably only one person, and he's in our film, of course, Seng Dara, the sort of Phnom Penh DJ celebrity character. Other than that, there just isn't a lot of information about Sinn Sisamouth. Of course, so much was lost during the wartime and during the genocide. And so our responsibility was, wow, how do we put this story together? How do we find information? And it was literally knocking on doors and interviewing people, and from there making our connection and making another connection. And so we have so many hours, hundreds of hours of footage of interviews of people that are telling us their connection to the music and what the stories are. And really one person would lead to another, and then would lead to another. It's a very long, laborious way to do a project like this. But for us, it was the only way to do it, because it was the only way to try to get to to really do the research, right, and try to understand as best we could the story of Sinn Sisamouth, and then more importantly, why and how his music may be more important today than it was 40, even 50 years ago. And so really, at the end of the day, well, the Khmer Rouge killed Sinn Sisamouth, and so many of the artists in Cambodia, they didn't succeed at the end of the day. They couldn't silence his voice, because no matter what, that voice resonates today and is more powerful to Cambodians than it has ever been in the history of his music. So.
And there was, all the information almost lost to do with Sinn Sisamouth, his music, his recording, everything. But in the film, there's one guy that you found, and he kept it, and that's just an amazing. Everyone's got to see this. Yeah. He kept it. He tell a story. It's just an amazing story. Yeah. He stashed it.
Yeah. No spoilers. No spoilers. Don't
go there. But this is just unbelievable. This guy's amazing.
Yeah, he's a hero. He's a hero in the film. Right? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and my dad keeps all his recording. My dad keeps all his recording tapes, like box of it. Like this guy.
Did you? Yeah. Did your dad have the cassettes? Does he have cassettes?
Yeah, cassettes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I put into digital audio now.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, we were so fortunate to come across this man, and who lives in Kampong Thom, and so we filmed with him in Kampong Thom and Kampong Tama, which is the area that he is in. And yes, he is a man who is very important to the story of the preservation of the music. We won't give away sort of any spoilers. We want people to come see this, of course. But yeah, you're right. And it's important to say here of the family's involvement. Sin Chaya, may he rest in peace, of course, and he died within the first year of our filming early on. He sought copyrights for his father's music for many, many years. And that's a part of our film, an important part of our film that should be mentioned. And also the support of not only Sin Chaya, but the family throughout the process. This film does not get made without the Sin family's love and support. And of course, Setso Chata, the granddaughter, also plays an important part in our film. And now she's become a singer in her own right, and of course is well known throughout Cambodia. And so maybe she'll hear this interview, Okun sister, Okun. So yes, we've become very, very close and very good friends with the family. And again, there's no way this film is possible without the support of the family. So.
Talking about working with family, you worked with Mr. wife and his granddaughter. What is it like working with them two together?
Yeah, it was delightful. I mean, we went out to we went out to Stung Trang, of course, the hometown of Sinn Sisamouth, and we'd spent some time out there with the grandmother, and it was Sochata, the granddaughter, who took us out there. And we very intentionally wanted her involvement in the film to be sort of an interaction with her grandmother. And it had been 7 years since she had actually herself, the granddaughter, since Sochata had been out to Stung Trang. So it was a discovery for her as well. And for her to be able to sit down one-on-one and have a conversation with her grandmother and find out, okay, what was it like with Grandpa growing up here? How did you guys meet? Oh, this was the house over here. This is where you got married. Show me these places. Show me these things. And so it's really a delightful thing that early on did not even happen in the film. This didn't happen until 7 years into filming. And it was just sort of a concept that sort of came about because of our involvement with the granddaughter. Because we got closer and closer with her, and we just thought, you know what? Her voice is amazing. Of course, she has an amazing singing voice, but her voice in the film is something that is throughout the film. And we felt like was a really important way to tell the story. So yeah, it was a lovely interaction between the granddaughter and the grandmother. And they're both in the film.
Yeah, it's good to see them in the film. Yeah, it's good to see them in the film. It's great for young generation like myself and my dad and so on, see them again, in the film.
Yeah.
All right, so going to the launch now, the premiere of Elvis of Cambodia.
Yeah.
When you plan to launch this, and where it's going to be, and how do they
We
get started?
Yeah. So we are so honored to be able to have been selected into the prestigious Melbourne Documentary Film Festival, which is held throughout July. And then in terms of in theater, it's through the 21st through the end of July. And we're so honored to have been selected to be able to show the film and really have our world premiere in Melbourne. And so it's an incredible honor. I'm so happy to be able to, after 10 years, for Steph and I to be able to present this film to the world. But more than that, and I think I said this to you early on in the conversation, that while it is amazing to be able to present the film at such a prestigious film festival, at the end of the day, it means little if Cambodians don't see this film. And so I want to personally invite Khmers in the Melbourne area. We have a couple flying in from Tasmania. We have another couple coming in from Perth. And but anyone in the Melbourne area, please, if you're Khmer especially, we really want to pack that theater with Cambodians, because this film at the end of the day is not for me. It's not from Melbourne Documentary Festival. It's for Cambodians. It's for Cambodians around the world, refugee populations around the world, and for Cambodians in Cambodia. So it's your film. Please come support it. Please come see it. This is your hero, hopefully come to life on the screen in front of you. And I say that with the deepest, sincere gratitude, because this film is for you. Please come out and support it. Please come see this film. July 25th at 6 p.m. at Cinema Nova. And you can get your tickets if you go to elvisofcambodia.com. And I'm sure there will be some other information on the website that Cameron can point you to. But yeah, please come out and see the film again on July 25th. Tickets are on sale now. Go to elvisofcambodia.com. And it's at the beautiful theater, Cinema Nova, which is an incredible independent theater in Melbourne. And so it's going to be a beautiful time. And hopefully we can have a great party afterwards. I just want to see the Khmers come see this film. I really do.
Absolutely. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. And I'm sure a lot of Khmer people wants to come as well and see this film.
Yeah.
And before we go, any last word you want to share with our viewers? And before we go?
Yeah, I guess I want to say Akuntran. And it's been an honor to be able to spend the time working on this film. And I hope that Cambodians will be proud of it. I believe that they will. And it's been an honor to have come to your country in 2004. It's a home away from home. We've lived there 2 or 3 different times at this point, and Cambodia is always going to be a part of my life. And I cannot thank you enough. And also, Cameron, of course, I want to personally thank you so much for having me on the program. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your help, and it's been a fun conversation, man. And that's the thing. I can't wait to have more conversations with Cambodians after they've seen this film. That's going to be the reward for me. Believe me.
Well, thanks, Chris, the man that had bringing Cambodia into the film industry and helping promote Cambodian culture. It's really, really great. And also, thanks so much for coming on Sisamouth Talk Show, spending your precious time, coming on the show. And everyone, I recommend everyone come and see the film. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait to get into it and watch it.
Awesome, Cameron. Alkunchan, thank you.
Dan, Chris, have a great day.
Yes, thank you so much. You as well.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, man. So
លោកអ្នកស្ដាប់ជាទីរាប់អានឥឡូវនេះដល់នាទីដែលយើងកោះកកាយអំពីស្នាដៃមាសរបស់កវីនិពន្ធជើងចាស់យើងទៀតហើយ
How can we build a country without identity, without memory, without a strong culture?
The culture flourished during the 60s. We were art-loving people, culture-loving people.